Hello everybody, welcome to the channel Can AI Do It? And today we are going to be building our first AI agent.
Really, that's funny, yeah.
If you watched the other two videos, you know that I have no coding background, so a lot of the stuff that I've learned here was Greek to me, in the sense that I didn't know what they were talking about. But what I can assure you is that if you really want to learn about it, there is always a way. And as you can see here, this is our first agent. This is a motivational bot that is meant to send a message with a title, an image, a nice text, and a quote every day to a certain email. So every day, this email here, for example, it was generated by the bot. Okay, so as you can see here, the title is Embracing New Beginnings. This is the same as the subject, okay? And you have the image, you have the text, and you have the quote as well. So all that you see here was generated using my AI agent, okay? So I'm gonna be showing you step by step how I built it. So I hope you can learn and also enjoy the video. So first of all, let's have a look at the tools we will need to develop this agent. So the first tool that you will need is ChatGPT Plus. So this is the paid version of ChatGPT. You will be paying $20 per month. And I think you really need this tool, or at least any other large language model that you are comfortable with. Because the thing is, the free version of ChatGPT, even though it's nice and you can do a lot, they limit you to 3 uploads per day, okay? So for example, if you want to screenshot an error that you are having with the N8N software and upload that to ChatGPT and ask for help, this is something that I did a lot because lots of the stuff I didn't know, so I need to learn along the way. So you are limited to 3 uploads per day, and that's nothing. So you do need ChatGPT Plus, I would say. You are gonna need an N8N account. As you can see here, they have a free tie, and we can build with them in the free tie, okay? You don't need credit card for that. And then this is the other things that we will need, which is the OpenAI API. You need to fund at least $5 so we can test it. Then we need a Cloudinary account. And this is so that we can upload the image that we created to Cloudinary. Then we can call that image using a HTTP request. No worries, I'm gonna be showing you everything how to do it, okay? And last, we need a Gmail account, and I'm gonna be showing you how to connect that to N8N. This is just for you guys to have an idea of how much time this task will take. And I am saying 9 to 10 hours here, but I'm being extremely generous with time. I'm being generous because if you have no idea of how this works, if you have no prior coding background, just like me, there will be a lot of stuff that you will need to learn along the way, okay? So I would say that in 9 to 10 hours of you really learning, deep diving into this, you can have this AI agent working for you seamlessly. Of course, if you just want to follow along the video and copy exactly what I'm doing, that's fine as well. Then it will be way faster. But if you want to really learn and really deep dive into this subject, I would say that this is a very realistic time frame that will allow you plenty of time to learn about it. Lastly, I just would like to say to you that I also have created 2 documents showing you step by step how I did this. These documents, they might not have the whole information that the video has, but I think they do complement the video and they make it easy for you to find stuff quickly, okay? So have a look at the description and download them as well if you want. So the first thing you are gonna be doing is coming to the n8n.io website, okay? This is the tool that will allow us to automate our workflows and make our AI agents work for us. Sign in or create your account and you probably will land on this page here. All that you need to do is just come to Open Instance. So here you can see an overview of all the workflows that you've created. To create a new workflow, you just click here and that's it. Let's first understand a couple of concepts that is very important. So a workflow in this case is just a couple of processes that will enable your AI agent to accomplish a task. In our case, we want our AI agent to send a motivational email every day at 3 a.m. So the first thing we need to do here is to add a trigger. What is a trigger? Like the name say, the trigger is something that will start a process. In this case, this is how we are going to start our workflow. There are many different triggers here. In my case, first I'm going to be using when clicking execute workflow. And this trigger here just means that when we click here on execute workflow, it will start running the process. Okay, now that we created our workflow and added our trigger, the first thing that I would like to do is just to add a name so it's easy for us to know which workflow is which. Now we will be clicking here on the plus sign to add a new, let's say, process to this workflow. And now we are going to be looking for OpenAI, and we are going to choose what we want here. In our case, we want to message an assistant. And why we want to message an assistant? This is because I want to tell this assistant, you are going to be doing this in a certain way, so we will message it. In my case, I already have my OpenAI account connected to them. If you don't have yours, this is what you need to do. You need to come to this website here called platform.openai, and just to make sure this is a totally different platform from the other one that you use to talk to ChatGPT. So even though if you have a ChatGPT Plus subscription, you still need to come here and fund this platform.openai account so that you can use the API. So once you are here, you log in or create your account. Then you are gonna come here to settings and then billing. And in here, you will click on add to credit balance. In my case, I just added $5 to test it, and this is plenty. You will be able to send lots of emails and test many different things. Once you created your account, then you're gonna come here to API keys, and that's where you're gonna give it a name. First of all, we are gonna be in create new secret key, and then you're gonna get your secret key here, and that is the key that you need to use here to connect your ChatGPT API account with N8N. In my case, I already have the account connected. Now you're gonna choose what you want this messenger model assistant to do. First, the resource we are going to be using is text, because I want it to send a text message. The operation is going to be messenger model. The list, this is where you are going to choose the model of ChatGPT you want to use. In my case here, I am going to be using the GPT-4o, which I think is very smart. But if you want, you can use a older model, which can save you some credits. It's up to you. And this is the most important part, which is the prompt. In my case, I specify here exactly what I want. Create a motivational email package for this person here who is rebuilding her life. Return the result in JSON format. And this is where things start getting a bit confusing if we don't know or if we don't have coding background, because then you're gonna have to start learning about these terminologies here. JSON means JavaScript Object Notation, and apparently as well, this is the way that APIs communicate with each other. And what is an API? It's simply a way that websites and apps communicate with each other. And this is what I want the chat to do. I want my message, our motivation email, to have a title, a message, a quote. This reference part for now I'm gonna be taking off because this is a very complex task to get these references here. So at this point in time, we are going to leave only the image prompt and the message by signing as this person here. So basically we need an image prompt because the process where you create the image is a different process from the process where you create the message. So this is what I want. All that I'm going to be doing now is just copy it, and then in the prompt box I'm gonna leave it like it is. Row I will leave as a user. Now all that you need to do is just back to Canva. Now we have here our trigger and our messenger model. I don't know why this is in here, but you can just click on it and delete, okay? And you can just drag around this here. All right, so the next thing we are going to be doing now is Click again here in the plus sign, and then we are going to use this field called edit. And we need to do this because of one thing. If we go back here to our prompt, our message model prompt has at least 5 different informations. So we have a title information, we have a message information, we have a code, an image prompt, and here this is what we want the message to end with. So the thing is, because this is 5 different informations in one prompt, it's easy for us to split that information into different blocks of text. So basically what you need to do here is you're gonna leave this as manual mapping, and you will come here to add a field. Then you're gonna give a name to that field. In my case, let's suppose that is subject, which is the subject of our email. Here's another thing that if you have no coding background can be a bit hard, just as it was hard for me, because okay, what is a string, what is a boolean, an array, an object? And this is all stuff that if you want to deal with AI agents, you will eventually need to learn a bit. So we leave this as a string, and now we are gonna input the value here. However, as you already know, I have no coding experience. So what you see here, I'm gonna be showing you a screenshot of more or less what you need. So as you can see here on this screenshot, and again, all this code here was generated by ChatGPT. So basically ChatGPT is saying that he wants this information here. So my subject is gonna be exactly the title of the email. If we go back here to the first email that I showed you, you can see here that we have title of the email, which is equal to the subject. Okay, so this is the first thing. Then we have another field called title, which ChatGPT used this function here. Then we have another field called image prompt, message, and code. So basically, of course, you don't need to know how to create this code here. You just need to keep this in mind. What we are doing now is splitting the information that we received from the previous node into 5 different things, which is subject, title, image prompt, message, and code. All right, now we have our set field, our edit field, with all the information that we need. And just again, I would like to emphasize the fact here that you do not need to know how to do this code here, okay? You just need to tell ChatGPT what you want and be willing to troubleshoot and back and forth with chat, okay? I would say that the most important skill that you need to have to do AI agents is to be able to be patient, first of all, willing to learn, and spend some time back and forth with ChatGPT. As you can see here, every single mistake or error that I came across, I was communicating with chat, and at the same time I was being told what to do, and most important of all, I was learning what this thing is all about. So let's go back to our workflow. Now we have our messenger model node, which is responsible for creating the prompt. Then we have that prompt is split in 5 different fields. Now what we need is to generate the image. To generate the image, you just come back here and then you type OpenAI, you select OpenAI, and you can see here that you have 15 different actions. Create an assistant, delete an assistant. In our case, we want generate an image. Again, you are gonna have to connect your OpenAI API account if you don't have done that yet. If you have done that, all that you need to do is just select the account. In my case, I select this account here. The resource we want to use is image. The operation is generate an image, and here you have the model. I'm gonna leave as DAO3. This is the prompt, and the prompt is just a simple expression. So in here you have fixed and expression. Let's suppose that you have a field or an image that is always the same, then you leave it in fixed, because it's an expression, is something that can vary. In my case here, the image can vary. In this case, I leave it as an expression. And why the image can vary? Because the image itself will depend on the text. So I set up this bot in a way that depending on the message, on the email message, the image will be created based on that. So let's suppose that one day the bot is talking about how to rebuild your life after suffering from trauma, for example. So this is the main message. So at the same time that we have that message, the image prompt will be generated based on that. Let's suppose that another day we have a message talking about how to make the most of your mornings, for example. Then we are going to have a different image prompt to create an image based on how to make the most of your mornings. In this case, the prompt is variable. It will vary according to the message, okay? So we need to click here on expression. Then again, do I know what this code is about? Now I know. Did I know it before? Of course not, okay? So ChatGPT said, use this code in that field. And then I just asked, okay, but what the code does? And then it told me that it will get the image prompt from the previous node and use here to generate the image. So again, you don't need to learn to code to do this. Once you put your code in here, your expression, all that you need to do is add an option. In my case here, I will go with resolution because my idea is I wanted an image in the landscape format, but you don't have any option here, landscape. When you come here, for example, to add option, you don't have anything like a format. So in my case, what I did to have a workaround is I come to resolution, then I set up this resolution here, which is more or less a landscape format. Once you do that, all that you need to do is just come back to Canva. Alright, so back to our workflow. We already have the trigger, the messenger model, the edit field that will break our message here into different fields, and we have the model that generates an image, okay? One thing that I have not told you so far, and is actually a very good practice, every time that you create a node, let's suppose we create this node here, it's a good practice to come and execute the node, okay? Why? Because then you know if the node is working, if it's sending data properly to the next node, and if it's receiving data properly. So everything that you see here in input is information that came from the previous node. Everything that you see in the middle here is information about the actual node that we are working on at this point in time. And output is what this node is doing with the information that we put in here. So let's click on execute step. You can see here that our node has been executed successfully, okay? So it means that everything that we put here is working. We can see here the information. If you want to see in a different format, you can either see it in table or JSON format. So basically what this means is this node is working, it's sending information to the next node. So if you come back here to the edit field and open it, you're gonna see the edit field is receiving that information from our messenger model node, and our functions are working. This one is not working so far. So probably if we click here on execute step, you can see here that the node has been executed, but this reference here, which is one of our fields, are not working. And why is that? Because in the beginning of the video, I told you we are gonna get rid of this field here. So in my prompts, before I asked him to create a reference, okay, in our email, so that the person that receives the email can read more articles related to how to get better, let's suppose. But then after doing research and everything else, I realized that is actually a very advanced thing to do, and I don't think it's suitable for this first AI agent tutorial. So I removed that, and what this is telling me is, okay, I can't find anything related to reference, and that makes sense because I removed that. Delete this, okay, now you can execute it once more, and as you can see, everything is working properly. The same thing if you want to generate and test the image node. All that you need to do is just click on execute step. Just a heads up, every time that you click here on execute step, a little amount of tokens will be deducted from your $5 with the OpenAI API account, okay? So I won't be doing that now at this point in time. I will just come back here. Now we have these nodes here. Everything that you see in green means that I click on execute step and the node is working properly. This one is the only one that I didn't do so far because I didn't want to spend credits, okay? But we are going to be testing it as well. So the next node that we need to implement here is a node called HTTP request. So sometimes when you come back here to your workflow. Sometimes when you need a tool, that tool will be here on N8N. Most of the tools will be already integrated with this software. However, there will be sometimes that when you click on the plus sign, you cannot find the tool. However, you can still use that tool, and you do so by sending a HTTP request. Again, if you watch those two first videos that I created about AI agents with the theory, you understand that. If not, that's fine. We're going to be seeing here in action how does that work. But basically, this step will do the following. We are going to be taking this image here that was generated by this OpenAI model. Then we are going to be uploading it to the cloud, to this service called Cloudinary. And then what we'll be doing is, once our email is sent, that email will pull the image public URL and display on it.
What?
It will make more sense as soon as we start doing it. So the first thing you need to do here is go to Cloudinary, and then you are going to create your account, okay? This is one of the steps where my guide will be very useful to you, because I broke down the steps in a very easy way to follow. So basically, this is the information that you will need from Cloudinary. It's your cloud name, API key, and API secret. Everything that I'm going to be doing here is shown in here. So make good use of this guide. Let's come back here to the Cloudinary platform. Once you get here, all that you need to do is come to the dashboard. And then one of the things that I made sure to specify is that you need to create a preset. So you're gonna come here to add upload preset, and then we are gonna be following exactly these steps here. In the end, you should see something like this. To create your API keys, just come here to API keys, generate new API keys. Again, follow exactly the step-by-step that I left on the document, and you're gonna be fine. And this is how our HTTP request node must be set up. So the method is post because we are sending data. Then the URL, that's my URL. You need to replace this part here with your actual account name. Again, all this information is in the file that I'm making available for you to download. The authentication you leave as none because this is a public URL, so there is no authentication. Then you turn this on, send body. Then you choose the body content. In my case, it's gonna be form data. And then you just make sure that in this parameter type here, you leave it as binary file, okay? And the reason is the image that has been created by our generate image model, it comes in binary format. So you need to specify this here. And this is the name of our field, which is gonna be file, the input data. This is the name of the data. You are not seeing this 100% here because I haven't executed this generate image here. Let's do it so it becomes way clear for you. You need to wait a little bit because Dale is now creating the image based on our prompt. Okay, now you can see that our image has been generated. The name of it is data. So everything here is very important for us. Now that we come to the next node, which is the HTTP request, you can see here the output of our previous node. And that's why I'm saying here, input data field name is data. Why? Because this is called data and is in a binary. Then another parameter that I use as well is this upload preset. Again, remember you needed to create a preset using the Cloudinary website. And once you have this, all that you need to do is just come back to the Canva. Now our last step is going to add our Gmail and make sure that it can send our email as we requested. All right, so now let's add our node with our Gmail. So all that you need to do is click on the plus, then you type in Gmail. Then in the Gmail, under the Gmail node, you have 26 different actions. In our case, we want to send a message. And this is perhaps the most complicated part of the whole process. At least it was for me. And actually the most complicated part was set up my credentials. As you can see here, I already have my Gmail account connected. If you don't, you need to come here and create a new credential. I also left this step-by-step tutorial of how I did it, but if you are having trouble with that, you can also check N8N docs. Once you do that, you're gonna select your account. Then this is the type of resource you want. In our case is a message. We are gonna be sending a message. The operation is send, and this is where you are gonna select the email that you want to send the message to. So you put it in here, subject, email type. So first of all, the subject is variable because it will change every day. So it will be an expression, and this is the expression that basically is taking the title and making the subject. Again, do I know exactly what does that mean? No, I don't. It was ChatGPT who created, okay? But does it work? 100%. So the type of the email is gonna be HTML. And again, this message will change. Why? Because every day our message model AI will be creating a different message. So this again will be an expression, and this is the final expression, okay? So the HTML part here, in our case, the message, this is where you can format your text, make things look different. So basically I told ChatGPT exactly how I want my email to look, and it provided me with the code using HTML to make it look like I wanted. Now just click here on add option, then come to append N8N attribution, and you turn this off. If you don't do this, every email that you send will have at the bottom generated by N8N. If you want, you can also make sure that this is sent to another email. You just click here on CC and then you include that other email. And this is how our final workflow looks like. Just like I showed you, we tested the nodes up to here. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be testing the whole workflow and see if it works. So once you click on execute workflow, you're going to see that this AI agent is creating the message. And then once that message is created, it sends to this guy here to break that message into different fields, and then sends to this guy here to create the image. This is where things can take a little bit longer because you need to wait the image to be created. Once this image is creating, it's sending the request to Cloudinary API. Cloudinary will get that information, upload the image and host it in its own servers. And then we are gonna get the final information, which is the image and the contents of the email, including title, subtitle, and everything else as we specified. Send it to our Gmail node, and our Gmail node is going to send that message as we specify. Okay, so now let's have a look in our Gmail to see if this message has been sent. So if I have a look here at my sent emails, you can see that I sent this email. The subject is Rising Strong, your new chapter begins, and this is exactly the same as the title, just like we specified. We have a beautiful image here. We have a really nice message as well, short and sweet, and we have a powerful quote, exactly like I specified. So this is the email who was meant to send. Let's have a look to the email who was meant to receive. As you can see here, this is the email that was sent, and this is exactly the same message that we sent. And all of that was done with the power of a click. And that's all. However, you might have realized one thing. The idea of this workflow is to be fully automated. But in this case, I needed to press execute a workflow to send the final message, okay? That's not what we want. We want this message to be sent every day at 3 AM to that other email. To do this, all that you need to do is just come here to the trigger, you click on it, you delete, and then you're gonna click on the plus sign. You're going to select schedule, which is a different trigger, and now you're going to specify when you want this trigger to be triggered. In my case here is every day, once a day, so the interval between days is gonna be 1, the time is gonna be 3 AM, and the minutes you leave as it is. And now all that you need to do is just come back to Canva, and then you're gonna connect this trigger to the next node, which is this node here. Once you do that, it's everything set up. Final, you just need to save this workflow and you are done. For this video, that's all I had to show you. I know it can look like a lot and it feels like a lot in the beginning, so I try to make it as easy as possible, showing you how it can be done from the perspective of someone who also doesn't have any prior coding background. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Don't forget, you can download those 2 files to help you follow along with this tutorial. And I am also thinking about creating a community 100% focused on people who want to create AI agents but also don't have any coding background or knowledge. If you think this is useful and you think you would benefit from that, please leave a comment below. Thank you so much for having watched. See ya next time. Take care.